GCSE French writing exam. Here are some tips to help you with the 90 words.
Okay, number one is not as obvious as it seems. Make sure to answer all 4 bullet points. To make sure that you've done that, you can tick each bullet point after you've answered it. If you don't do a plan, I really recommend that you do one, even for the 90 words. You can lay it out something like this, and you need to be aiming for around 23 words per bullet point to meet the word count. And so this will allow you to make sure you've got enough ideas to be able to do that. For the 90 word GCSE French writing, you need to be as accurate as possible to get full marks. You can make some errors, but the things that you want to be checking for before you move on to the next question: proofread for the tense that you've used. Does the subject match the verb ending that you've used? Is the word order correct? And does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, get rid of it. Give your opinions, and a minimum of 2. You can use your standard je pense que, à mon avis, selon moi. That's all fine. If you want to mix it up a bit, then you can use these ones. Don't repeat any words or phrases. I don't mean like je or nous, for example. I mean key words. Look at synonyms or rephrase. These are some good examples of positive adjectives and negative adjectives you can use. Not sure what complex structures to use? Not a problem. Download the handout at my website, which is linked in the description below. This will help you to include elements for grades 5 to 9. Choose 4 to 7 or choose like 8 to 10 that you can note down, and try and include 4 to 7 minimum. There's also a link to video above, so if you don't want to download the handout, you can have a look at that video too after you've watched this one. Connectives allow you to extend your sentence length to create complex sentences, and they really like that for GCSE French writing. So if you aren't using some of these already, make a note, perhaps 4 or 5, and try to incorporate them in your plan and in your 90 word writing to help you get full marks. And my final point for the 90 word GCSE French writing is to ensure that you're using 3 tenses accurately. Which tenses can you use? Well, you can use the present tense, the perfect or the imperfect in the past tense, some examples here. The future tenses, so the be going to form, I'm going to blah blah blah, to go blah blah blah. The will form, or the conditional, the would form. I'm going to move on into the 150 word writing in a moment, but if you want to implement what I've already told you about, if you need some more practice, choose one of these practice questions and make sure that you are answering all 4 bullet points. Make sure that you're doing a plan and adding some detail in it. Aim to be as accurate as possible. Give 2 opinion phrases minimum. Make sure that you're avoiding repetition. Try to use 4 to 7 complex structures. Add connectives, and make sure that you get 3 tenses in accurately. Hope that helps. Please let me know how you get on in the comments. Stay tuned for 150 words, which is coming up now.
GCSE French 150 words.
Full marks on the 150 words. It's quite similar to the 90 words. You want to be doing similar things, but let me explain in a bit more detail and show you where the differences are. So for the 150 words, you get 2 bullet points and you have around 40 minutes. So I'm averaging that out based on how long you've got and the minutes per mark. So you've got about 40 minutes. Make sure that you answer both questions. If you're not sure how to figure out how to answer them, look, is there a question word? Underline that, translate it. Pick out the tense, is it present, past, future, conditional? And then try and pick out the nouns that you understand and adjectives, and try and make the best sense that you can from that information. Please let me emphasize this. Do a plan. It allows you to think of your ideas before you start writing, so you're not scribbling things out, and to ensure that you've actually answered the question. If you're not sure how to do a plan, this is one way you can do it. So separate the bullet points, put your ideas 1, 2, 3, and then extend from there. Good news here, for the 150 word writing, if you want to get full marks, you can make some errors. However, you need to be accurate in the few things I've mentioned here, and so proofread. Before you move on, make sure you're checking your verb tenses. If you make mistakes with verb tenses, that's going to cost you some marks. Have you used the correct tense? Does it make sense in the sentence that you've used? If not, sort it out. Verb endings. Does your je person verb end in the je person ending? If not, sort it out. Ne pas, is that in the right place? Is it around the first verb? Have you got apostrophes as well in the right places and accents? Check those out. And does it make sense? If not, get rid of it and rephrase it. For 90 words, you had to just give your opinion, and this is a big difference between the 90 words and the 150 words. You need to justify your opinions and make sure that they're next to each other. So you could put, for example, I like blah 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 because blah blah blah. Your opinion that I like needs to go before the because. Here are some other examples. So if you're just using parce que and car all the time, here are some alternatives. In your 150 word GCSE French writing, do not repeat words or phrases. Make sure that you're using synonyms, so words which have a similar meaning, or rephrase. If you're using j'aime and you want some alternatives because you want to mix it up, then these are a few that you could use. Just as with the 90 word writing, make sure that you're using complex structures. However, you want to be using more in the 150 words. Again, not sure what complex structures to be using? Download my handout at my website, linked in the description, and you will find some. Write down about 10 to 12 and ensure that you're using that in your writing on the exam day. For 150 words, you can use the same connectives that you're writing in the 90 words. However, if you want to access those extra marks, why not use complex connectives? Here are some examples. Note a few down and try to use them in your practice and on exam day. Tip number 8 is for the 150 word GCSE French writing, use a minimum of 5 tenses accurately. Which tenses can you use? Well, I've noted a few down here. The present, there's a few in the past tense, there are a couple of future tenses, there's a conditional and potentially the future perfect. Add these in your plan to ensure that you're using them, and make sure you proofread to make sure they've been used accurately. Now it's time for you to do some work. Pick a practice question and implement the 8 tips that I've given you. If you implement them correctly, you can get 32 out of 32 and full marks for your GCSE French 150 word writing. Hope this is useful to you. Please do let me know either way.